Hey darlings, and you're welcome back to the channel once again. If you're hitting and you're seeing or you're hearing my voice for the first time, hey, you're welcome to the family. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and put on your post notification bell if you haven't. And to my OGs, guys, you guys are the real MVPs. I'm seeing you guys, I'm seeing you. Anyways, today we're going to be making a keyhole bustier just like what you can see on the thumbnail. So if you're ready, let's delve right into this video ASAP. Hey there, Razy. Welcome back once again to my channel. Like I said earlier, we're going to be making a keyhole bustier gown. Okay, so first off, I have my pattern paper right here, and then the next thing I want to do is to draw my basic bodice. Okay, so the measurements we're making use of is shoulder 16, and that we'll be dividing 16 into 2, and that gives us 8 inches. Okay, we're going ahead to mark the bust point. We're making use of 11 inches for the bust point. The under bust is 16 inches, and then the half length is 18 and a half inches. So I'm just going to roll those lines out. Okay, right. The next thing I want to do is to take our neck depth and neck width. Okay, I don't want this neckline to be too big because it's going to have a keyhole around the chest line, so around the chest area. So I'm going to be using a basic um 3.5 inches. So if you feel, you can as well change this if you like to. Okay, so I'm making use of 3.5 inches for the neck width, and then for the neck depth I'm making use of 3.25 inch. Okay, so I'm just going to use my curve rule to okay. Next thing I want to do is to come down by the shoulder shoulder line by 1 inch, and then mark as shoulder slope. I have several ways of doing this. Everyone works for me. It just depends on how you go about it. So I'll be marking that. I'll be rolling that out to the neck width measurement right here. Right. Then I'll be going ahead to take our armhole depth. Alright. How I usually get this is just my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then if I don't want the armhole to be too big, I reduce it by 1 inch. So the armhole we're using is 8 inches. I'll be minusing 1 inch, and that will give us 7 inches. Okay, because I don't want this to be too big. Alright, or better still, you can as well measure out your bust point. 2 inches above your bust line should go, or 2.5 inches tops. Okay, let's make use of 2.5 inches. That's about 7.5. Alright, it works. Like if you want to make a sleeveless dress, 7 inches, like your measurement, your shoulder measurement minus 1 inch is just perfect. Right, your shoulder measurement, as you wanted to make a sleeveless clothes, so your armpits will not show. Now we're making use of 8 inches. 8 inches. What you just need to do is minus 1 inch, and then, but in this case we just minus about half inch, so we're making use of 7.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and then rule out our compartment right here, and then we have this. All right, the next thing I want to do right now is to take my nipple to nipple measurement. Okay, my nipple to nipple measurement, and for this case our nipple to nipple measurement is about 8 inches, so we'll be dividing that into 2. All right, so I have 4 inches right here. If you're cutting directly on your fabric, you want to add half inch, but since I'm cutting on a pattern paper, when I'm cutting on my fabric I'm going to add half inch to the same side. Okay, I hope you understand that. So I'm going to be extending this chest line down this way. It's going to guide us as we move along. Okay, so this is what we have for now. The next thing I want to do is to mark or get the midpoint of my shoulder slope. All right, so what you just need to do is measure this, and for this we have 4.5 inches, so divided by 2 is going to give us 2.25. All right, so at this point we want to join this line to the bust point right here. Okay, at this point right here we don't have so much to do. We want to make our under bust tightening and then the upper bust tightening, and then we'll be done with the front block. Now for this measurement, our bust is 44 inches, so we're dividing that by 4, which gives us for 11. Okay, so we're marking our 11 inches on this bust line right here. Okay, this is going to guide us when we're marking out our armhole. So let's go down to the under bust tightening. I'm just going to come out on this other middle, the center front, by about half inch. okay, and then I'm going to take out about 2 inches on the other side. Now this solely depends on the size of the client. Usually when I'm making a bustier like this, I have several ways of making my bustiers. I could as well minus out to get, just like I did in my former in my last video on making a bustier, but on this I just prefer to do it this way because it gives me a more pronounced curve around the bust point area, I mean on that bust area right here. So I'm just going to be covering this to about my bust point right here with my curve rule. If you can make use of your free hand, okay, and then I'm just going to do this also. Alright, so at this point we're going to just rule out straight lines to make this, and then this to meet this. Voila. If you look at this closely, you find out that our curve is already being pronounced right there. So at this point right here, alright, where we're going to make our where we're going to take our upper bust tightening, we want to come up here by either our bust radius, but if you check, this bust radius is about 5 inches and I don't want that to be that high. Okay, so I'm just going to come up above my chest line with about, let's say 1 inch, okay, 1 inch thereabouts, or let's say 1/4 inch. So you can, don't go above 1.5 inch, so your cloth, your fabric, your dress will look funny, kind of trying to cover up every, like using your exact bust radius, because this is 5 inches and taking 5 inches above this way would make the yoke look very small. So I just went up about 1/4 inch. Then I can even make that 1 inch. If I'm going out, I'm going to make use of 1 inch instead. Okay, so we're doing this, and then we want to make our curve. All right, we want to make our curve, but before we do that, I'm just going to draw a straight line just to guide us for what we're doing. So this right here is our 1 inch above the chest line. So let me just quickly, this is chest line, this is our bust line, this is under bust, and then this is our half length. Okay, now I'll be going ahead to take our upper bust tightening, and then I'll go ahead to take 3/4 inches on both sides, right, because I want to take out 1.5 inches. You can as well want to use 2 inches, but do not go beyond 2 inches. All right, but for this I'm making use of 1.5 inches, so I'm going to be dividing it same on both sides, or I can as well use ½ inch on the inner part right here, on the center front right here, and 1 inch. Depends on your preference how you want it. So I'm just going to use my curve rule and then make a straight line this way, and then curve this up to meet this right here as well. Now if you take a look, we're already having our cup already coming into play. Okay, so this is what we have right here. Now if you notice, we already have taken a piece, what's it called, we've taken out some inches right here, so we're going to be replicating it here before we go ahead with our measurement. I'm going to be adding my side seam measurement on this pattern, just the side seam measurement, but joining allowance, I won't be adding them here. I'll do that when I'm cutting the fabric. Okay, so right here we're going to just measure this out, and this is about 1 inch, exactly 1 inch. So I'm going to add up 1 inch, okay, so that our measurements will not be deducted in any way. So right now we have our measurement complete on the bust line. So this line, we're going to replicate it right here on the bust line. This is actually the chest line. We're going to bring that out. So this is about 12.25, and then I'm going to mark this here 12.25. Okay, and then on our under bust is 36 divided by 4 will give us 9 inches. So this right here is our 9 inches, and then remember we took out 2.5 inches, so we're going to replicate that 2.5 inches right there. All right, and then our waist is about 38 inches, which is 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. So we're going to be marking 9.5 right here, and then remember our 2.5 inches we added, we're going to just add that back right there. So my sewing allowance is going to be about 2 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to add that right there. So you want to try as much as you can to join all these lines together. Okay, yes, so you see at this point right here, I'm just going to rule my armhole curve, and then the middle of this is about 3/3. Okay, so I'm just going to come in with about 3/4 inches and then make my curve right here, and then this to meet the bust point right here. I mean the bust measurement right here. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Lest I forget, our front half length is longer than the back half length. Okay, and for this measurement, this client's front half length is about 18.5 inches, while the back half length is 16.5 inches. That's 2 inches difference. Okay, so I'm going to be imputing that 2 inches difference to remove as if that on the bust line. All right, I actually skipped that. I actually forgot to do that. So I'm just going to, in order not to confuse you, I'm going to take out my 2 inches allowance which I took earlier. Okay, I'm going to take them out this way. I'm going to totally take them away just so you understand, all right, how to fix in this dance. Now we're going to be doing that on both sides of the bust line this way. So I'm just going to quickly draw these lines up straight up to the bust line like so. All right, then at this point I'm just going to cut through, and then we're going to have our bust line. But before I do that, I want to make my chest line curve right here. That'll be the last thing we're going to do on this part. So you can as well want to go down if you want to show more cleavage. All right, you might want to go down below the chest line. All right, or you can also use the chest line, but for me, I think I'll be going ahead with the chest line. I'm going ahead with the chest line. All right, I think that's okay for me. I can make it 3 inches. Alright, so I'm just going to be going ahead with the chest line. Now, it solely depends on you because it belongs to a client, so I'm trying to be careful not to show much skin. Alright, so you might want to ask your clients where they want theirs to be. So I'm going to be going ahead to use the chest line measurement. So I just drew that to this dark leg right here, and then I'm going to draw this. Oh, thank God, before I cut. Now, before you eventually cut, we want to replicate what we have here in this dark, which is about 1.5 inches. You have to replace it, else your fabric won't be complete. I mean, your measurements won't be complete. Okay, so right here we have 1.5 inches. All right, we have 1.5 inches right here. So you want to go extend it to that legs right here. I mean the armhole curve right here, and extend by 1.5 inches. All right, and then you want to curve that out. All right, you want to curve that out this way. All right, and then you want to draw a straight line. With a straight line is better if we're going with a bustier. That's perfect. So we're cutting this out. This is going to be the yoke. Okay, this is going to be our yoke. I'm not going to be cutting out the keyhole design just yet, but I'm going to cut this all out. So I'm just going to take my scissors right now and then cut out. So this is what we have for the front piece. I'm going to go ahead to add my complete this measurement right here, and then add my 2 inches. For the back piece, I'm gonna head to mark out my back piece, my basic bodice for my back piece. Alright, this is the bust line and then the half length. So I went ahead to use 1 inch to make my waist that. Okay, like I said, this is 16 inches in length, so it's going to match out with what we have in front. Okay, with the front piece. So basically we don't have much to do right here. We just have to make I'll take our armhole curve. So we'll be making or dividing this into two, which is about 3¾ inches. Then we have to come in here by 3/4 inches as well, and then make our curve. Okay, this way and then this way, right? Now at this point we want to make our neckline. All right, at this point also you can as well decide if you want to put a keyhole at the back as well, or you just make a normal bodice. All right, so I'm still contemplating on which to do, but before I'm done drafting this, I'm sure I've come up with something. So right here I want to take out our bulginess, and I'll be using about 3/4 inches. Okay, so I'm marking out my 2 inches again, and then I'm going to just mark this out to about some inches above the bust line. All right, this helps us to take away any form of bulginess at the back, around the waistline at the back. All right, it takes it off. So we're going to be cutting this part out, and then we have this right here. Okay, so I'm just going to take my measurements. My bust is about 11 inches. I'm going to be marking from my dart legs, or where my darts starts, where my zipper allowance starts rather. So I'm going to be using 11 inches on this part right here, and then for my waist is about 9.5. I'm going to be marking my 9.5 from here, and then I'm going to add also my 1 inch allowance right here. So this is what I have. Okay, so we're just going to roll that out nice and clean, and then we're done with the lower part of this. I didn't add my side seam allowance at this point. I'm going to do that when I'm cutting my fabric and my lining. Okay, so at this point, if you want to put what's it called, a yoke, what you just need to do is you might as well just come down here about 6 inches, or let's use 5.5 inches right here. Okay, and then make a curve, either a curve or you want to make use of a straight roll. I think I'll go with this, a straight roll, right, this way. All right, and then we have this right here. So we're going to, you can make it, you can as well, you can just play with it, be versatile, right? Might anyhow you want to go about it. Myself, I'm so this is a 3 inches, 3 1/4. You can as well use 1 inch, however way. You can as well make a deep V. All right, but for this I'm just going to be going with what's it called, a 1.5 inches right here. I'm just going to make Alright, I'm just going to do this. Then I'm going to also take out my keyhole around this point. Now it depends on what you solely want. You can as well leave it as that. So maybe in the course of cutting or in the course of doing all that I have to do, but I will have to change, I might change the neckline or the yoke or whatever I want to do there. But for this, I think, okay, let me just make a keyhole at the back. Alright, so we can just do this. Alright, so I can use a zipper from here. From here there'll be zipper, and then right here I'll just make a button. Just place a button right there. And I want to do this. Okay, so this entire back side will be open. If you feel like it's too open, you can as well, you know, close it up or reduce it. Now I need it to be versatile, as you just think of something else, anything you feel like to do, but this is basically what it is for the back piece. Now our concentration is mostly on, so I've gone ahead to cut out my fabric. All right, and take note, I had to put seam allowances at the top and at the hem. All right, then this is my side seam allowance. Okay, then this is the back block. Now for this, I eventually decided to make a yoke with a keyhole also at the back neckline. So this is the neckline, this is the shoulder, and this right here is the keyhole. Now for this front piece, this is what I have. So I added 1/2 inch. So take note of the places, the areas where you need to add your 1/2 inch allowance, at the top, at the joining, and at the hem. I also did the same thing for the yoke. Now for the yoke, I cut the same fabric for both the main and the lining. For the yokes, I did the same. While for the main dress, I had to go ahead to use my colored lining as shown. So this is exactly what you're seeing right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and iron my stay into the front piece, okay, because the lining is very thick, and this is a big print also, so I don't need to put on iron on any hairstay to the back piece, right? So if you're using a small print or a very light fabric, you can go ahead to iron stay to all the pieces, okay. But I'm going to be doing I'm just going to be ironing my stay and my wording onto my front piece alone. So I'll just go ahead and do that. I've ironed out I ironed onto the lining soft gum stay, the tissue gum stay. Okay, like I said, the fabric already has width, so I'm not going to be lining the back piece. But for the front piece, I went ahead to iron onto it stay and then wording. Okay, I left allowance up here so that when I'm turning over my lining, I won't find it difficult when ironing. Alright, so that's basically it. So I'm just going to go ahead and join these pieces together. Okay, this way. I'm going to join it like so. This way with 1/2 inch straight up to the hem on both sides. I'll do the same thing for the lining and the fabric. Then okay, these are my yokes. I'm not going to do anything about it right now. This is the neckline, okay, and then this is the keyhole. All right, so for the back, all right, I'm going to come to the back, but for the front, all right, I'm not going to cut the keyhole neckline just yet. I have to finish doing this, and I'm going to come back to show you how to go. What we have, I've gone ahead to iron out my padding, my wording to it, and you can see that the cup is so pronounced right now. Okay, and this is what we have inside. I had to open up my seam and then iron it out. All right, so this is my yoke for the front, the two yokes. Now to make to get our keyhole neckline, okay, I'm doing this because of the beginners. If it were just for me, I would have gone ahead to do this right when I was drafting. Okay, so you want to place this way. All right, want to place this right on top. Remember, we have half of an inch up here, and then I also place half of an inch here so that we can stitch it as well. So you want to place this on that ½ inch allowance on the fabric. All right, you can see closely that we don't have any deduction in our fabric. Right, everything is complete. Okay, so at this point we want to determine where our yoke is going to start from and where it's going to end. I don't want this yoke to be too big, too wide, or too open. I don't want it to be too revealing, so I'm just going to you might want to measure this. Okay, now I want to just use let's say about 3 inches right here. Okay, that's about, I came down from my neckline about 3 inches. What I have there is 5 1/4, and then on this part right here I want to take, okay, let me take the seam. Okay, from the seam I'm measuring out about 1.5 inches. Right, now the reason why we're doing this is so it's going to guide you when you're placing it back on. That's when you're sewing this and you're placing it back on, it's going to guide you. All right, so I'm just going to use my curve rule and then make a simple curve right here. Now this is what we have. Now this is going to be my yoke. Okay, my keyhole rather. I'm making it super small because I don't want it to be too open. All right, so I'm not going to cut on this line exactly because I want an allowance to join. All right, remember I said I came in about 1.5 inches, so I'm going to mark in 1.5 inches this way when I'm sewing, when I want to place this back on it. So if I want to cut this now, I'm going to be cutting on an ½ inch allowance right here. I hope you get what I'm saying. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this, cutting for both yokes. So I'm going ahead to cut out ½ inch allowance closely. So this is what our keyhole is going to look like. Let me place it on my bustier so we can see what it's going to look like. So when we're done, this is something like what we're going to be having. All right, you can see it's not so much. So if you want yours to be more pronounced, you can come out and open it as wide as you want. So but for this is just perfect. Okay, and then I'll be introducing the back yoke. All right, the back piece as well. Now you need to take note of where your yoke is going to join onto the back. Okay, now this right here. Okay, all right, now this is what we have for the back sleeve. If you look closely, this paper, this seam is supposed to be this way. All right, and if you look closely also, I also made a mark where this joins to this. So I went ahead to make a notch on my fabric right here. That way we know where we're joining the yoke onto. All right, so this yoke is coming this way, while I have to close this up when I'm sewing on my fabric. So I have to wait till now to show you, and that's basically all for the back yoke. So I'm going to be sewing up this keyhole at the back. I'll cover it up this way, then this ½ inch goes into this ½ inch right here. All right, I hope you understand, but I'm going to be sealing this up, then I'll go ahead to sew in my darts, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Here's what our bustier is looking like. All right, I haven't fixed in the lining yet. Okay, so I just went ahead to mark out and notch my 1 inch from the joining right here, 1 inch, because I'm going to use the remaining ½ inch to sew. Remember that when we're measuring, we took out 1.5 inches. All right, but now you want to join, you just place it at 1 inch so that the ½ inch will be for joining it. I hope you understand. I don't know, but once you do it that way, just do what I'm saying. Okay, that 1 inch from the joining right here is what I left. Okay, and I notched it, and then I joined this the yoke part to that notch, and started sewing from there. I did the same thing on this other side, and this is what we have. Okay, see what it's looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead. All right, and turn this over with my lining in this manner. Now I'm going to find the midpoint of my lining right here. Okay, I'm going to join that with the midpoint of the main fabric right here, and I'm just going to sew along with half of an inch all to the end right here, and I'm going to do that up to the end right here on this other side. I'm going to show you.
So here's what our finished look looks like. I hope you love it because I'm definitely in love with this outcome. This is what the back bodice looks like. You can see the keyhole is looking so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. I love how it came out and it's perfect. So guys, if you watched it this time, I want to say thank you so much for indulging. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed what you just watched. If you did, kindly hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and also put on your post notification bell. Please also share this video, tell somebody about Rex, and until I see you in my next video, bye.